For this problem, we're given the f of x is 4x cubed minus 7. They're asking us to find the derivative of the inverse. So first, we need to find the inverse, and we're going to use that four-step process that we talked about earlier in the notes. So step number one, you need to replace the f of x with a y. So y equals 4x cubed minus 7. Step number two, switch x and y. The most important thing with inverses is the x and y is switched. That's an important step. Then, for step 3, we have to solve for y. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides. X plus 7 equals 4y cubed. I need to divide both sides by 4 to isolate y cubed. X plus 7 over 4 equals y cubed. And then to solve for y, I have to take the cube root of both sides. So y is equal to the cube root of x plus 7 over 4. So that's the end of step 3. For step 4, you need to replace the y with the inverse notation. So now that we know what the correct formula is for the inverse. Now, because I have to take the derivative of it, I'm going to make this into a little bit friendlier form, so that way it'll be easier for us to use the derivative rules in order to find that. So I'm going to take the inside one, x plus 7, divide each of those by 4. So I get a 1/4 x plus 7/4. And then the cube root, I'm going to write that as a 1/3 power. I'm doing this because I don't have to use a quotient rule when I go to do the derivative of the inside. In this form I would have to use a quotient rule, but because there's only one thing in the bottom, it's easier to separate it, and then all I have to do in the inside is going to be a power rule. Now, because I got something inside that's not a regular x, it does require me to use the chain rule. So now we're ready to do the derivative of the inverse. So what happens is the 1/3 is going to come down. This inside part I'm going to go ahead and write as the original one, x plus 7 over 4. Subtract 1 from the exponent, so subtract 1/3 minus 3/3, negative 2/3. Don't forget to multiply this by the derivative of the inside because we're doing chain rule here. That's why I wanted to write it in this form. When I do the derivative of the inside there, I just get the number in front of the x. So the derivative of 1/4 x is just 1/4. So now the last thing to do is just clean this up. Get rid of the negative exponent. Now I could do this as 1 over that and it would be more complicated, but here's a trick that would make this a little bit easier to do. We can do the number parts first here. So the 1/3 and the 1/4, we get 1/12. There's an exponent rule that says that if you switch the fraction on the inside of the parentheses, it's going to change this exponent, make it a positive. So I'm going to switch this and do 4 over x plus 7, and then that's going to change that to a positive 2/3 power. And by doing that, it's a lot easier to do that way, and you can leave your answer in that form. So it's always good to get rid of the negative exponent if you can. This is the easiest way to do it.